The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's lava. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. And they ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow host, Steve Johnson, Chris Sanders. What's good, fellas?
Pretty good, man. Feels like it's been a while since we've been back on there, but here we are.
What's up, Chris?
Everything is good, man. Just got through with some good fights over the weekend, so it's been good. Everything's all right.
Yes, indeed. May is in full effect now. Spring's in full effect. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there, even though it'll be dropping on the 6th. But like I said, happy Cinco de Mayo. Enjoy the margaritas and chips and guac and all that good stuff. But we're going to try a slightly different format for this boxing show, and we're going to get right into it with the quick hits. And like Chris said, it was a weekend full of fights this past weekend, but the weekend before
Hold
that...
on, EJ, before you go there, EJ, I just thought about something on my timeline. And since we're talking about fighting, right? And I don't know, it's been blown up on my timeline, everybody talking about it, 100 men versus a gorilla. I just saw it again right now. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, oh, here we go with this. So I know it's been on for the last 2 weeks or so. I don't think I discussed this with you guys, so I gotta bring that question to you. Who you think will win, 100 men versus a gorilla? Who you got?
I don't know if me and Steve talked about this when I saw him last week, but I'll let you kick it off, Steve.
Well, I mean, since the gorilla is a gorilla, and I haven't really seen too many trained gorillas to actually, but I don't think people can perceive how much a gorilla is, how strong he is, or if you would have put him under some weights, how much he could lift. I say if I'll give a perception, probably what we could probably do, put 10 humans on each limb, including the head, and even then, I don't think it'd be possible. But I'm always optimistic for humans, but I won't be the one doing that. I'm sorry. I'll let somebody else test that out.
What you think, Chris?
So when they say am I able to pick the 100 men that can fight this gorilla?
Any 100 men.
We got my Russian people over there. They fighting bears, right?
Yeah, but a gorilla's a whole different animal. Literally, no pun intended.
Yeah. The short answer is no. The long answer is I like what you're saying. 10 people on each body part. Well, we got we got 5 different body parts. That's already 50 people. We got another 50 people coming. If I could pick the 100, then I think I got a good chance. I think I could pick 100 people that take out a gorilla.
So who you gonna pick? Just like straight up
fighters, killers, just dangerous people, man. Come on now. Not me. Definitely not me. I don't think anybody in this chat I ain't picking. I know we ain't gonna get no gorilla out of here. But if I get the 10 of the hardest people that they ain't scared, but who's gonna grab the gorilla first? That's the problem, right?
Hey, whoever decides to do that, it's gonna be like the first to get hurt, the first casualty. There's gonna be some men taken out. the first wave, the first 20, 30 wave, it's a wrap for them. But
Ngannou's and Bob Saps.
Yeah, Nah, we don't got it. 100 men versus gorilla now. Going gorilla all the way. Nah, never mind. Just thought about it. Don't got a chance.
All right. So this, I don't know how this topic got on fire and social media and whatnot, but like Chris said, this has been a hot topic that's been all over social media, all podcasts, all TV shows. What does society come to? Like, how does this question even get thrown around? But I'll entertain it. I mean, people act like it's King Kong. Like, it's not like a 1,000-foot gorilla. So gorillas, it's still an animal at the end of the day, and it still has stamina. So, I did a deep dive into this because I was curious, and men are stronger than people give them credit for. So, like I said, the first 20 or so men are going to get fucked up, but gorillas still have stamina. The gorilla's going to get tired eventually, and then men will be able to just crowd them and then eventually take the gorilla out, from what the scientist said online, what I saw. So that makes sense, because it's not like the gorilla is like Donkey Kong. It has super stamina. It's going to get tired eventually.
I would say one person or a few people would have to be a sacrifice.
Oh, definitely.
And probably the concept of a gorilla is a chimpanzee can rip a human's arms off its limbs and legs. So think about a gorilla. It's a rat. It gets hold of you. I mean, swinging, it can break your neck. Just hearing things of what I've heard about how strong a gorilla can be, they can literally swing and your neck can be cricket and done.
Yeah. Like I said, it's definitely going to be some sacrifices, but once it gets to like 40 and the gorilla gets tired, and y'all be able to take them out. But like you said, who's going to be the first 40 or 30 to go in there? It's not going to be pretty.
I mean,
people are going to get limbs torn off, heads snapped off, literally probably ripped the head off the body. Yeah, that'd be a gruesome sight. But who would you choose? Steve, you said Bob Sapp and Francis Ngannou,
and some few more people
Bob,
as big as you can get.
You're talking about Bob Sapp 2025. I don't know how much help he'll do. If you're talking about 2,000 Bob Sapp, that's a different story.
I would say the limb idea, the grappling part, and then the other people are just gonna have to strike them. There's gonna be some striking too going on. I'm picking
like, it's like you said, like a 2000 Bob Sapp, 2008 Brock Lesnar, 1988 Mike Tyson, 2000 Lennox Lewis,
all-star team,
2020 Tyson Fury, like 1996 Kurt Angle in the Olympics. I'm picking.
But we going against one of their toughest gorillas out there, right? Say if the gorilla could pick the toughest gorilla out of all of them. That's what we're going against. You think they can still get them out of there?
Oh yeah, like I said, it would take like a wave. Like the first wave would be sacrifice to the heavens, but after that, it'll get tired. It's like regular fighting. Regular fighting, people get tired. The gorilla gets tired too.
I ain't never seen no gorilla upset. Neither do I want to, so I don't know.
Yeah, me either. So let's keep that a fantasy. But let's talk about some reality, some fighting that happened this past weekend, super stacked weekend of fights. But before we get into that, there was a fight that happened last weekend over the pond over there in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Chris Eubank defeating Conor Benn in unanimous decision. And I didn't get a chance to look at this, but it's definitely something I'll go back and look at it. Chris, how'd this fight go down?
Man, it was action from the beginning. These guys were throwing some heavy haymakers at each other. I would say Ben was doing well. I would say before the third round or at the end of the third. I think when Eubanks got like caught up and he got, the fight slowed down because Ben was a quicker fighter, a little more slipperier. But once, Ben got in himself and, didn't stop and just kept going forward and throwing the jab really got there for Eubanks. So that kind of slowed down Ben's momentum and, the fight kind of went up a different direction. But throughout the fight, these guys were throwing haymakers. Like you felt like they were going to knock each other out with the big punches that they had, man. It was just one of the best fights I've seen in the last couple of months, honestly. You have to watch it, guys, honestly. But I would say by the 7th round, Eubank found that uppercut. It finally landed. He was thrown out the fight, but it started landing. He started catching Banks. But Banks got a hell of a chin too, as well, man, because those punches he was taking, you would think he was going to get knocked out because Eubanks looks like a couple inches bigger, taller, and then he looks bigger in size, but really couldn't knock out Banks. These guys had no respect for each other in the ring. They was talking shit to each other throughout the fight. It was an awesome fight to see. After the fight, I don't even think they shake each other's hands. I saw some clips after the fight where Banks talking about he don't really have no respect for Eubanks, even after he lost. Ben saying that he don't have no respect for Eubanks after he lost. So, man, these guys, it was a good fight at 168.
Yeah, what's up with all the hostility? I mean, after you duke it out, you're supposed to, shake hands, and I guess there's bad blood there.
It was bad blood for real. Honestly, they were talking so much junk, and that's why it was a good fight. They were talking, they was bringing it in. When one threw a big punch at the other one, they was in it, like they was in each other's grill talking. So it was good, really good fight.
So 2 Brits, Chris Eubanks is 35. So I don't know how much upside is there, but what do you think Conor Benn's upside is? Because I saw him ringside at the New York fight, Times Square, and so I assumed that he won, but you said he lost in the
yeah. He looked good. This was a lost fight, but honestly, he didn't lose anything. He gained more fans than anything. On the card, he lost big, but if eye test and watching him fight, he's a fighter, right? He's throwing a lot of punches. He's throwing punches in bunches. He's throwing some haymakers. He's not running from the opponent, and he's a smaller guy. He was running down Eubanks, like he was in his face trying to knock this guy out. So it was a good fight. I think this is his only loss too, if I'm not mistaken. So this is his first loss. Yeah. I think he's only 28. So he got a couple more years. I won't be shocked. 168 looks a little. It looked. He didn't look small, but it looked a little too big. I probably would like to see him at 160. But he looked good. I thought he looked good. I think this is one of the best fights I've seen in the last couple of months, honestly.
So it was at 168.
I believe so. He didn't look. Eubanks is probably just a bigger fighter coming down in weight. I don't know how tall they are, but you could see it on the size. Like even in the fight, you could see that there was a. Like if Ben was fighting someone his same size, he probably would have knocked that guy out a long time ago. His punching power looked amazing. He was stunning Eubanks. Like he was putting him in his place, stopping him, stunning him, but no drop. Neither of the guys fell to the floor. It was a good fight overall. Like I said, they were hitting each other with some heavy haymakers. Like it was entertaining throughout. You was never bored. You was never sitting there like you thought every round was like, oh my God, this person's about to get knocked out right now. And you didn't know which one was, but they fought it through the end.
Okay. I'm seeing that the fight happened at 160. So no, that's
160. Okay.
Yeah. So you're saying that Eubanks look a little bit bigger than Ben, so you thinking Ben might need to go to 154 super welterweight?
Or maybe Eubanks is just a unique fighter where he can get down in weight. He looks big in that weight. That's a good weight for him because he could take a lot of punches there. He's a little slow. Ben was throwing like maybe 3 punches the time Eubanks got to him, but when Eubanks did get to him, that's when he was landing the big punches as well. So he's a little slow there. I didn't like his speed, but again, after the 4th round, that's when the fight kind of slowed down and, it kind of changed the ties of the fight in my eyes, watching it.
That's what's up. So I'm looking at Eubanks. So it looks like Eubanks goes back and forth between middleweight and 168, like you said. So maybe, like you said, maybe he was a little bit bigger for that weight class.
Yeah, he was a little too big. But Ben threw a good fight. There's no knock to Ben. I would love to see him fight again because he has a warrior chip. He wasn't gun-shy at all. Like, if you guys want to see excitement, you want to see someone fight, Ben's a guy that wants to fight. And he's scrapping. He talks a lot of junk. I like that. Like, he's talking. He's in the guy's face. He's talking to him after he hits him. As he gets hit, he's talking back. Like, I love it. It was a good fight.
And you said after the fight, he was still talking his trash.
Well, I saw some clips. Yeah, they got on the media stand, and he didn't have no real respect for him. For that fight. It was a good fight overall. But I think there's some bad blood. I didn't see them shake hands. I didn't. They was talking junk throughout the fight. After the fight, they usually you give your guy opponents some love, but I didn't see none of that. They walked to their own corners. They stayed with their group, and that was it.
So I'm seeing the fight before this Eubank fight. Conor Benn fought at 154. The junior middleweight, super welterweight. So maybe he like floats back down to there. I mean, it's some big fights down there at 154 too. So
yeah,
looks like the kid has some upside. So we'll see what happens with him moving forward. Let's get into these fights that went down this past weekend, because this Conor Benn and Chris Eubank fight was touted as Fatal Fury. I think the zone's been promoting all these fights as Fatal Fury recently, and I think the same as these past weekends fight as well. First round of fights went down in your neck of the woods, Chris, at Times Square. And as far as like logistics go, like you could imagine Times Square in your head. How did they get that all set up? Like I feel like it's heavy traffic in Times Square.
Yeah, it's really tough down there. I don't know. Like they got in the middle of Times Square that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, they can make it happen. I mean, there's a big open area right under the clock, where the ball drops. So there's some room where there's just traffic on the side, but there's like a walk-in area. So you could put some stands up. You can put something up there.
That's wild if you think about it, especially a fight. They started pretty early as well on Friday, but let's get into the first fight that went down for these quick hits. Teofimo defended his light welterweight title by unanimous decision against Arnold Barboza Jr. And I don't know. It looked like he was just breezing by him. He looked like he had too much trouble with him, using that reach, sticking the jab out, and then just beating the guy Barboza to the punch. And he made it look easy. Look, he didn't break a sweat in there. And what are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Well, from what I saw, it seemed like from what I saw, because I'm gonna get their names. Teofimo Lopez was the one with the black shorts, right? And Arnold was the blue shorts.
From what I remember, yeah. From what
I believe so.
Yeah. They don't have their name stamped or with face. But from what I saw, Teofimo, like you said, I would say out of this whole event, I would say is
he probably
the most fire in it.
Yeah, I think he looked the best out of all those three fights went out on Friday.
And it seemed like Teofimo, like you said, he was comfortable and more relying on counter punching, and I guess controlled the fight that way and was able to get a win. And like I said, based out of it was a good warmer up based off of how we'll talk about later what the other fights were. But I think it was a good fight. I wish I knew more history. I probably did see a fight to have a comparison on what their future is and who's up to next. But it seemed to me that Teofimo did what he needed to do to win the fight.
Definitely. Chris?
Barboza, he came out, pretty fast early. He looked pretty good, actually. But, just the swagger, the time, and the accuracy of Lopez, he made it look easy in there. This was probably the best fight of Friday, to be honest with you, from my eyesight. If you're watching just to see fights, they both were throwing punches. Maybe Barboza didn't land the good punches that he couldn't get to Lopez as he wanted to. But overall, this is probably the best fight of the night.
I think so as well. And we'll get back to Lopez in a second once we wrap all three of these Friday fights up. But let's move on to the next one. Devin Haney defeated Jose Ramirez by unanimous decision. And if you had the commentary on, I think I agree with the commentators. Devin Haney did what he needed to do to win this fight, but I didn't see that urgency in him to kind of put on the show. He's a defensive fighter, so he used his defense. He didn't get hit. He made sure he hit Ramirez more than he got hit, and it was just a workmanlike performance by him. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
Boring. And boring. Honestly, even you would expect him. He would have figured him out. He did enough to win, of course. You know, he's on his back foot to me the whole night, getting out of harm's way. He did a good job on defense, but it was not exciting. I was expecting a little bit more, especially was in his past. You know, I think he could have figured this guy out and got him out of there. I don't want him to get into that type of fighting. I don't want him just to get the wins. I want him to go after it and try to, knock these guys out. He's a good fighter. I like how he fights, but I want him to put the gas on the, on a pedal and don't be gun shy. Knock these guys out. Don't just pick and pop them. Just knock them out. So that was my thing. But anything else, for him it was a good fight. But as a fan watching, I was a little bored, to be honest with you.
Steve?
Yeah, it's that style is fine, but it's like now that we see other people try to be defensive masters in boxing, we kind of I have and always did like Mayweather, but have a new appreciation for Mayweather because it seems like Devin Haney doesn't have the option to sting somebody or get respect from them on a power aspect, which they say Mayweather didn't have that, but I would say disagree because he would be defensive, and then the ones you don't see is the ones that light you up, and you see the light when you get hit. Wow, and wakes a person up. I feel like Devin Haney doesn't have that effect. Of course, he and maybe that's the caliber of fighters he's choosing, and it's sort of like I don't know if it's like MMA or boxing math, but it's funny how certain people can beat somebody, and then now they got beat by somebody, and then the other opponent they fought, I would say last year, loses as far as Devin Haney. We'll talk about the other fight on the spoilers, but yeah, I feel like he just doesn't have that power option to get people off. It just comes off as boring fights, and I was bored, and it seems like he's talented to put more emphasis on his talent. I don't know if it's implementing combos, and I know putting more than sometimes 2 on a combo leaves you open, sometimes even 2. He's just one-shotting, but I feel like if he runs into somebody, if you soak out the best, he's going to run into somebody's problem to that defensive. He's always going to run into a problem to where he's going to have to be pinpoint perfect when he has to deal with somebody that has power or a good tool on him, like Garcia in his left hand, That's my opinion.
For sure. So Devin Haney, like I said, out of these quote unquote 4 kings that they say within him, Shakur, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, he seems like the least flashy out of those fighters, and he's the unanimous decision king. Is this who he is at this point, Chris?
Well, I want to say I don't think he's the least flashiest out there. I would say Stevenson is, right?
Yeah, but I feel like Stevenson is like more so of what Steve was talking about, like that in that Mayweather mode.
Where he pops them and he makes them feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with Dave. I think he has that in him. I've seen him spar people. I've seen him in other fights. I don't know what it is right now. I don't know, coming off that loss, and you just want to get these wins and just keep the win going. Again, it wasn't, as a boxer, it wasn't a bad fight. As a fan, you're just like a little bored of it, right? You want to see the excitement about it. I think that's always been what Tank was talking about with them, is that you don't sell the fight. You're not knocking people out. You don't sell the fight. Your fights are boring and things of that nature. Well, we got a taste of it, and I think that's what David, Mr. Haney has to go through. Figure it out, but he has it in him. I don't know why they didn't put the gas pedal. He doesn't push forward enough for me. I don't know what it is.
So at this point, you got his dad in his corner, always yapping, and you think in the future he's gonna have to back up with all the stuff that his dad is talking? His dad's over there yapping a lot.
What did his dad say recently?
Bill Haney. I mean, him and pre-fight, him and Oscar are going back and forth at it again and whatnot and all that noise. Even though the fighters weren't even fighting each other. Well, Oscar was representing, I want to say Ramirez, but
okay,
the main fight, Oscar's main fighter is Ryan Garcia, excuse me. But yeah, like
even though that loss is not there for what Haney, right? They took that loss away. He's undefeated.
Yeah, he's still undefeated. That was a no.
But public eye, we all saw what happened, right? So he's never gonna. It don't matter if he's undefeated for the rest of his life. We all saw him lose that fight, regardless, right? So they're always gonna argue that out. They're probably have to run that back one day. Probably won't be the same, but that L tarnished him a little bit, But I'll just shake that off and just start knocking out everybody else. You forget about that fight. That fight doesn't exist. Win or loss, he has the ability to be great in this sport and win some more belts.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna keep up going weight classes, but if he's doing this at this weight class, I don't think he'll fare well if he keeps going up. So we shall see, and we'll get back to him in a little bit once we talk about this next fight. The main event for this one, we had Ryan Garcia losing to Rolly Romero by unanimous decision. This one was for the WBA regular welterweight title. And this wasn't the most exciting fight either, but it seems like Rolly Romero was the one that was pushing forward and putting the pressure on Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia did not look good at all. In that second round, he got dropped by that left hook, and it was all bad for Ryan Garcia at the going to that unanimous decision for Rolly Romero. He just didn't look like he had it. It wasn't a good performance. What was your thought on this one, Steve?
Yeah, I feel like Romero has been on the bad side of things as far as like maybe losses. This is a fresh fight of who, as far as where these people are out and who they fought. It was a new slate of fighters that fought previously other fighters like a Gervonta, and we saw the results of both of that. Romero, he looked very good this fight, considering on his last fights I think his last fight was a little bit of a struggle. It's like a hard fight. This one seemed simple. Saying the hype of the person he was fighting, because Garcia is, I would say, somewhat is known household-wise. Like you said, I think the second round caught him with the double left hook, if I'm not mistaken. And probably that right there, and probably not only that, what made Garcia fight the way he did is because he probably felt Romero's power. He looked pretty strong, muscles in his back, and I bet you Romero gained some respect from some of those shots that probably landed earlier. The knockdown definitely sold the fight for later rounds, because I was expecting something but never saw it coming. So forever what that was, putting something into the fight he did, and I think he deserved this. I think Garcia was not accurate. I wouldn't say scared to pull the trigger. I think he knew he was outmatched just by matchup.
Definitely. He was Rolly Romero was the underdog going into it, so not a lot of people expected him to go in there and beat Garcia. This was at welterweight 147. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is a big stumble for Garcia's career, especially coming off the PED suspension and whatnot. So you think that played in the factor of him winning his past fights, especially the one against Haney, now that we see his performance, Chris?
How good is Garcia, honestly?
I mean, when he got that big matchup against Tank Davis, he got knocked out by by a body shot.
But before that fight, who did he fight to get that? Like before he was like known to be an internet sensation, right? From all the clips he's gone and did on the internet, on YouTube, and all this stuff, and Instagram. Who's he fought to get there? I mean, besides the fame, talking and things like who is in his back pocket that he beat before the Tank fight?
No disrespect to these fighters, but for the Tank fight, he fought Javier Fortuna, Emmanuel Togo, but then he fought Luke Campbell for the WBC interim lightweight. So that's still a world title that he fought for.
I guess I'm trying to get to the group is, do we overrate Garcia? Because of the fame? Is he more famous than he is as a boxer? His fame is not up to his boxing, like where he's at.
You are what your record says. And when the rubber needed to meet the road, he lost to the Tank. And then he has a tainted victory against Haney. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Steve.
Well, yeah. We can also say he dropped the ball because this is an excuse not to fight somebody who supposedly did PEDs. Haney said after his fight, if depending on what goes tonight, we might, get a rematch with your boy. If I think that's a quote he said, Haney. But, lost and, he kind of takes the story away when somebody had, what is this? A tainted loss, a tainted win, which is a loss, and then another loss. I mean, I'm probably not in the talks of, somebody's a champion to get a shot.
Yeah. No disrespect to Rolly. Rolly looked good. Rolly looked strong. He looked really big. He looked good for this weight, to be honest with you. He looked really good. Maybe Garcia, just remember the time that I saw some clips of them fighting as a sparring match, and it didn't look good in that for Garcia too. So maybe when he got hit in that second round, he remembered those days that he sparred against Rolly and like, hey, this ain't gonna go the way. But overall, it didn't look good on Garcia's end. It looked gun shy to me. Again, Steve said the punches in that second round probably was outmatched. Realized he was outmatched. But Rolly, to me, I don't know why he didn't capitalize trying to finish the night out. He saw a guy in front of him just trying to survive and be there. If I was in Rolly's corner, I would have tested him. I'd have go for it. Why not? Just go for it. This guy can't really bang with you. You feel you're confident. Your fighter's confident. You already dropped him out the night. I said I would have went for it for the 6th round or 7th round. I told Rolly, hey, let's see what you got. Put some more pressure on him. Get him in that corner. Try to go for it. And if it didn't go through at that time, down to slow it down and try to do what he did out the night. But it just seemed like after that knockdown, he didn't put the gas pedal. And this was a big stage for him. I think he could have got him out of there, got a TKO or a knockout. That would have put him in a different atmosphere. Don't let it go into the judge's hands in a fight like this. It could have been a different outcome for Rolly.
So, to ask you the question you asked, do you think Garcia is a little bit overrated, an internet star, more so than
me?
Yeah,
I did at first. Especially before the Tank fight, I didn't think, I saw, especially where I live in California over here, a lot of people used to bring him up and stuff, and I didn't really see nothing from his background to get these big fights. I know he's House of De La Hoya, Golden Boys, they needed that big fight. It was building this fighter up. I think he could have got there eventually. I think what Oscar said is something I believe in, that, I'm glad that he got the fight with Tank. He wanted to fight with Tank. He wanted to fight with all these guys. So I respect Ryan's heart. But, to develop his fighter, I think, the Golden Boy was right. Like, hey, you might not be ready yet. Let's develop you a little bit more. Let's wait till those fights come, I don't think they was trying to steal money from him. I think they was really trying to prepare him for these moments. So he wouldn't have to feel like he needs to take any type of drug or any type of thing like that to win. I think they was trying to protect him in that standpoint. Let's get you in the right situation. Let's get you more better. Let's get you some more rounds in the ring. I don't think he's there yet. He got a lot of flaw in his defense. It's not the best. His hands come down a lot. Doesn't protect his body. There's a lot of flaws. You can get to him. Not saying, if I had a fighter, I think you could beat him. So that's just my opinion on him.
So it was supposed to be after this fight. It's supposed to be win for Garcia. Most people were expecting that, and then it's supposed to be the rematch between him and Devin Haney. That fight's off the table now, right, Chris?
I wouldn't want it. I don't even. If I'm Devin Haney, I wouldn't even want that fight. The only reason why you would want that fight for him is to prove to the world. Because again, we all look at that fight. We all saw with our eyes, even though the L's not there, our eyes are never gonna forget that he lost that fight that night. So. But that's only for him. That's only for him. If I'm Devin Haney, I would go past that. I would just try to get more belts and try to knock out all these other guys. You do have Tank. You do have Steve. You got so many other fighters that can put you on the map. If Garcia does not win and he starts losing and losing and losing, you don't even need to fight him no more. You could just keep saying, you know what, he was on steroids that night. That's why he beat me. Look at him. He can't beat nobody. So it's really on Garcia to earn that fight back. He needs to win a couple of next fights to get that fight back, in my eyes.
Yeah. If I'm Haney, I'm definitely not taking that fight next. That fight's off the table. You lost.
Yeah.
What do you think might be next for Garcia, Steve?
Lucky if he gets a household name. I would say I can't think of anybody in his area to where, it seems like everybody's that he would fight, I would say, is on the rise. You're going to go down to Gervonta's. You already did that. You have Shakur Stevenson, but, who wants to fight somebody who's on the decline? And I would say, and maybe it might be a plus because he might still hold his household name just to get popularity off him. So they might say, let me take that. But it's going to be a hard argument. They might have to see the numbers and say, okay, this dude's been losing, but I can make a bankroll real quick. So I could see that happening. But it's very hard for me to say. And I don't know all the people. And like I said, if there is somebody to fight, I wouldn't know them.
What do you think, Chris?
I think you nailed it right there. I think he's a household name, so he's going to bring the money in. He's looking – I don't know if he's going to get title fights at this time, but, he's looking like almost as a gatekeeper at the moment, to be honest with you. I know he's young. I know no one wants to hear that, but, you might be going through him first, and if you get past him, then you go to the title fights next, and you get the big name because he's like a step up. He's a big fight. Once he's, he could throw a card up and, people are going to want to see him fight. So he's probably your ticket to the next big thing. So I can see him still making money, especially from other fighters that want to take on and get popularity of winning. Now, if he keeps losing and losing, this goes downhill from here, right? He's going to have to perform well, even with the losses, because you can lose in boxing or any sport, but as long as you perform well, we're not going to judge it, right? He got to perform well. He can't have an outing like what we just saw. Like if he'd have lost, but he had a good outing, then we wouldn't be judging it. It was a tough loss for him, but he got to throw more punches. He's looking like my old boy that I used to love, AB back in the day. Fighting. Not throwing enough punches. But can sell a fight. So that's what he's looking at right now.
Yeah, he definitely have to go back to the drawing board with his team, Oscar, and sit back and maybe take a layup for the next one just to get his confidence back and then see where he goes from there. But going back to Devin Haney, I'm guessing a fight with Teofimo, a guy who's on that card, that would be next on the plate. What do you think about that, Chris?
Rolly.
You think Rolly? You think Haney will stay up there? I feel like he'd be better down at 140, but
he don't want to go back down there. He said he don't want to go down there.
Okay, so
I had Rolly next. I put that in my notes. Okay, Rolly, you sign yourself up for this next bit. I mean, who's Devin gonna fight after this? Right? Why don't you beat the guy? You have to fight the guy that beat the guy that beat you, right?
Yeah, that's true. But you also got Mario Sparrio. He's got a belt up there, and then of course Boots Ennis is up there. I think he's got like 3 of them, 2 or 3 of those belts. So
I think if you're Devin though, Rolly just got this big win. I think you feel confident you can beat Rolly too at the same time, right? This guy just beat the guy that beat you. I think you can win that. And then you can start making, keep because you like you just said, it don't look so good for him at what the next weight up. So this might be a fight that he could probably think that he can win. So I would take that fight. And Rolly just got his name up there. So I mean, Rolly was already there. He talks a lot. A lot of people know him in the sport. So it's not like he's a nobody. People do know who he is. He's a good fighter as well. But this is a big, I don't think he won on the next level. But he did win his last fight, right? He won his last fight. It was
Who's
a tough
that?
one.
Who's
Rolly
that?
won his last fight, right? It was a tough one, but he won it, right? I believe.
Rolly Romero. I know one of the fights that he had some controversy. I can't remember who it was against.
But yeah, if I'm
Devin, he won his last fight. Yeah,
so if I'm Devin, this is I feel like you're confident, your team's confident. The guy that beat you lost, fight him. You beat this kid, then you can go up and try to chase some of these belts. But he got to get comfortable at this weight. He ain't knocking nobody out here, so he's going to be in long fights. If he wants to keep fighting 12 rounders and try to win the belt, that's going to be tough. So try to get these easy money that he would think from Rolly. But even that fight might be tough because Rolly kind of big in this weight class. These guys get to eat now. They came up a weight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes up there, 147. A lot of these guys are coming up for 135, 140. So we'll see how it continues to shake out. But let's talk about this next quick hit before we get to the fight that went down in Saudi Arabia. Skip it forward, and then we'll go backwards to fight that happened last night. Went down there in the city of Las Vegas. We had Inoue defeating Ramon Cardenas to retain the undisputed super bantamweight championship. And I say this was the fight of the weekend. They saved the best for last. Cardenas looked good at the beginning of the fight. Like, I think they said he was a plus 4,500, something crazy. So I'm guessing at the beginning of the fight, a lot of people that put money on him was like, yes. But that dream died really quickly. But in the beginning of the fight, he was beating Inoue to the punch. And that second round, he dropped him with that left hook. I'm like, oh, shit. And then as the fight went on, Inoue just took over and did Inoue things. I think they said in round 6, he threw like 33 power punches, Inoue did. Mm-hmm. And then round 7, he got that knockdown with that straight right on Cardenas. And then early in that 8th round, just a flurry of punches by Inoue, and he was able to get him out of there. It was a good back and forth fight. Both guys bit down on their mouth guards and went at it, and I was highly entertained. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
Like you just spoke about it, man. Very entertaining fight. I don't know too much about the other, and I don't know either of these two backgrounds of these fighters that much. I see glimpses of them, but I never watched the full fight. I was trying to watch this fight, and I couldn't get the full fight. I only got to see highlights of it, unfortunately. But what I saw, it was action-packed. These guys were throwing a lot of punches. Inoue, that's his name, right?
Yeah, Inoue, yeah.
They got a really big upside for him, right? They got really high hopes for him to take over. So this was a big win for him. He throws punches. He throws punches in bunches, and it's very exciting to see. And this is what you want to see from fighters. You want to see people that go out there and try to knock their opponent out, especially as a fan in the sport. There's no defense in his. I mean, not saying he doesn't do defense, but he's trying to get a knockout, and I like that from him. So, hope to see more of this.
Steve,
I didn't get to see this, but from what I hear, and it seems like Inoue has a pattern of, if he totally can't control the fight the whole fight, I see what wakes him up is either getting popped, you know what I'm saying, or he takes a while for him to pick his feet up if he has a contested fight. So it seems consistent. It seems if he can perfect his defense a little bit more, maybe he doesn't have to take shots to sort of wake up during the fight, or because I think his few highlights I've seen, he's been knocked down, but always went through adversity and knows how to get through the fight. And I think maybe from what y'all say, I think this was all about him, processing a fighter. And when you download him, you got him. So I think, like y'all said, he's going to big places.
I mean, as far as we've talked about Inoue before, as far as like being like a household name, I mean,
it's gonna be tough.
He's a smaller fighter. He fights at junior featherweight, super bantamweight. But as far as like how good he is, I mean, we're already here. I mean, he's number 2 pound for pound in the world, so it's nowhere really to go except one more spot, and you got Usyk in that spot. So I mean, he's here as far as talent goes. Is like he's not like a future up and comer. He's number 2 pound for pound in the world. So I guess at this point it's all about trying to get that name bigger, because I mean the skills are there. He's undisputed.
I think what would change him, could he go up in weight, you think?
That's the thing people are saying, like, because he's a smaller guy, but that would get him more notoriety as far as star power if he were to go up in weight, but
and retain belts in other divisions and things of that nature. It's going to be tough for him at this weight to get the star. Like, he's already talent, but the star power behind him. I guess he's going to have to fight on more UFC soil, right? This was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so that's a good start. This is his first time fighting in Vegas since the pandemic. He fought like a crowdless fight like in 2020 or like early 2021. So first fight US soil in a while. He's always been fighting over there in Japan, his own country. So that's definitely a start, fighting over here.
Yeah, he's going to have to do this, hit to the Middle East, head to Europe. He's going to have to make some moves and start being their good fighters, right? He's going to have to start going over to different places and start being their good fighters so we can get, notoriety. Like, who is this guy from Japan? I mean, the boxing world does know of him, but I don't know. He's going to have to go up in weight or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's at 122. So, I mean, he could go up 126. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that a lot of those guys will keep going up, because if he were to inch his way and get up to like 130, and if he were to be able to be at junior lightweight, he could have maybe tried to get a fight with one of those guys, but all those guys moved up. Like the Tanks and the Shakur Stevensons, they moved up to like the 140. So, well, Tank's still down like at 135, but
you think Tank? Come on, he's knocking out bigger people than him. This guy come up, he might hurt this guy.
That's true.
Yeah,
I think at this point, if he just keeps fighting on U.S. soil, it was a good turnout last night as well. So if he keeps fighting on U.S. soil, maybe he goes up. Yep.
He's already set. He's made good money. He's already set. I'm just saying, for like more star power and to be mentioned more, he probably got to go up in weight. But financially, he's fine.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think about him?
Well, like I said, he's he's a good fighter, and like I said, I don't think he could go anywhere until he fights a popular name, and I don't think he's fought one popular name. Like you said, even we might know, but me as a boxing fan and watches boxing, a lot of these people I do not even know, and it's like, y'all right, until you get up to those higher classes, you won't start hearing those names that ring a bell. And everybody likes storylines, and everybody likes competitive between two people who don't like each other, or two fighters that fought somebody in the past. You lost and he won. Let me get that back. I mean, there's none of that going on when I think of Inoue's name. So he has to create more of that and get in more weight classes with popularity, or else he's just going to go down as a person with statistics, has the credentials, but no. I mean, there's a lot of people you hear that's been champion and never known of them, unless you've been a hardcore boxing fan. And it'd be a shame 10 years, 20 years from now when he retires and the next name comes up and people don't know about him.
Yeah, be messed up. Yeah, on that note, I don't know what's next for him. But I guess we're gonna get to the last segment of this fight weekend, the Canelo fight. Who did Canelo fight? What's the gentleman's name again? You remember his name?
William Skull.
I never seen Mr. Skull fight in my life. Have you seen him fight before?
No, I haven't. Never.
So I was looking for fireworks, to be honest with you, especially being at this weekend what today is Cinco de Mayo and Canelo fighting. I was hoping to see some fireworks from it, but to be honest with you, it was nothing against Canelo. Canelo came to fight. His opponent was just on the back foot throughout the night, just running away from Canelo, not trying to take any big hits. It just seemed like the guy, Skull, was just happy to be there, get his check. He looked pretty big. It looked like he could have gave Canelo a good fight, to be honest with you. What I saw from him, he was catching him with the jab. If he played his day right, if he was, being, fighting moment, but I don't know, the stage might have been too big. He just wanted to get there.
Get back in there. Hold on. I'm trying to get back in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Some difficulty from EJ right now. Got kicked out his own chat right now. But what you thought about the fight overall?
It's, to me, just the fight alone, regardless of whose fault it was. Nobody likes being tricked out of their time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you watch a fight and you're like, man, that was a big waste of time. And this is the big finale. That's how I felt. To the point, I'll be honest, I've turned on the fight and started having technical difficulties. And I made a decision probably about the half the fight. I'm like, man, is this worth it for me to keep on fixing this stream?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, I gave it up and watched highlights later. And what do you know? It's a run fest from one side of William Scuff. And I think Canelo has always been an aggressor. Yeah, I think he needs that other person to tango, or they're always watching out for his power. And then we got somebody who is all the way respective of it.
Yeah, no, Canelo, he was coming in there trying to knock this guy out. Like we said, we saw a run fest. EJ, we just keeping it going with the Canelo fight right now. What you thought of the fight?
So, Canelo, I mean, the guy didn't want to fight him. He was on his bicycle the whole time, and Canelo had to chase him as far as William Skull, it pertains to him. And I think his technique or his strategy was to, be elusive and, move around, pop, and make it seem like he was winning rounds, but he wasn't hitting them with no power shots. He was just on his bicycle, and he had kind of like false confidence in what he was doing, and think he was banking rounds, but really he wasn't, because whenever Canelo did touch him, Canelo was hitting him with the power shot. So I think it was just a bad strategy by William Skull's team. And I don't know what y'all already talked about as far as the nuts and bolts of the fight. What were y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, we went over that already. Like basically what you just said, it was kind of a boring fight. Kind of stole money from the game. Not Canelo, but just overall, we was hoping to see more excitement from it. And that's pretty much what we got. The same thing you got, like a bicycle. Skull really didn't come with it and stuff like that. I would say though, we got some good announcements right during this fight.
I mean, it's what everybody expected, because if the fight already got put on paper. Bud Crawford, Canelo in September. I think it's going to be Mexican Independence weekend. Fight everybody expect to officially be announced after this fight, because they already had it in pencil. And they confronted each other after the fight. People were commenting on how Bud Crawford was mugging him. What do y'all think about the whole face-off after the fight?
Crawford looked bigger than him.
Really? You thought that's what you got out of it?
Yeah, you look kind of, a little big. I don't think Crawford put on some weight lately. You know what I'm saying? Look kind of big. I'm excited for this fight. I've been excited for almost 8 months, 9 months. We've been talking about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it lives up to it. I hope Crawford could give us a good show out like Triple G did on these fights with Canelo. And, I hope Crawford can come and just fight his fight and give us one of those special moments. I'm rooting for Crawford in this one, to be honest. I'm going to say on record. I don't know if he's going to win it. Canelo's a bad man. I think he's really, really good, but I respect Crawford so much in the boxing world. So I got to root for him on that standpoint. But Canelo's really tough. This is one. I don't know Crawford. This one's a tough one.
On a slightly different note, looks like your Knicks beat the Celtics in overtime.
Whoa! We won?
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm surprised, man.
That's a tough one. We was in a nail fighter with them Detroit boys. Them Detroit boys had me stressed out.
Yeah, still got a long road. That's still the Celtics, so we'll see what happens with that.
I'll take one at home from them. I'll do that. I'll take it.
But getting back to the fights, yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that they're just not trying to get money from us and end up having a sparring match. Like, we know Bud Crawford brings the fight, but we saw with his first fight I don't know what this fight is going to officially be at, but his first fight at 154, we didn't kind of see that power travel up that we know him for at 140 and 147. And I don't know. What are your first impressions of this fight, Steve?
As far as like
Bud Crawford and Canelo, if it'll be exciting or if they'll go in there and just take our money and do like a sparring session.
Man, it's hard to say these days because you'll expect on paper a good fight, then they coast like it's a sparring match. Based off of the consistency of their behavior as far as engaging in all the fights in the past, I would say this would be an engaging fight. Two fighters who want to take each other out and see opportunity when it's there and go for power punches instead of coasting. I think Crawford would bring that to the table. And I think if he's pressed, he'll try to get his back. And instead of somebody who's too scared, not saying he doesn't respect his power, but somebody that wants to, I mean, what is fighting? Somebody who wants to impose their power is somebody that's, gaining points, and staggering somebody. So I think Crawford isn't the type to run off, unless he's legitimately stung in the fight. I think he has enough defense and offense to just to be up to par with Crawford. It's just I think Canelo hasn't he fought like people maybe even a little bit bigger than Crawford before. So it's like we know Canelo can survive with these big boys, but can Crawford? It seems like he's stuck in the middle of who Crawford's fought the biggest, and Canelo does he have enough power to sting Crawford? Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we'll see. And one more thing before we get on out of here. So if this fight in September goes down and it doesn't live up to expectations, you think Turkey Al-Sheikh will start paying these boys? Because he was there in Times Square, and then he flew over there to Saudi Arabia like in less than 24 hours. So think if these guys Turkey Al-Sheikh will stop paying these boys?
No, he's getting, as long as he's getting the pay-per-view money and all the money for the people to come to these fights, he's okay with it. He's getting the back end money. That's what it's all about, right? He's putting these fights together. It's all about making the money. So if he's getting the money to make these fights, it's not a problem. I don't know how this outcome's gonna be though. I'm hoping Crawford don't get on his jets and start running because again, we like Steve said, we seen Canelo in there with bigger people. So I don't know, but Crawford's slippery, man. He can, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And once it gets closer to the fight, we'll come back and give our official predictions and all of that good stuff. But getting close to the end of the show before we get on out of here, it's not that many notable fights coming in the future, but we'll be back sometime in June because at the end of June we got Chris's boy coming back, Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And we also got Deontay Wilder getting back in there, so we got to talk about that late June. But you shake your head at it. I thought that was your boy, Jake Paul.
Come on, now. I told y'all about that. Told y'all about him. I'm straight. I got it.
Yeah, it makes it blows up social media when you fight, so we definitely gotta come back and talk about that. But yeah, that'll do it here for us at Haymaker Combat Sports. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, the X's, the TikToks, the IGs, all that good stuff. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Hear it here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars, cause it's